The aim of this presentation is to inform you briefly about how brominated diphenyl ethers, or BDEs, are addressed under the Basel, Rotterdam, and Stockholm Convention. Our two rows presentation will go into more of the technical aspects of BDEs. So I will keep my presentation focused on each aspects related to implementation of the three conventions. So now, the chemicals listed under the Stockholm Convention include hexabromodiphenyl ether and heptabromodiphenyl ethers, which are the main components of the commercial mixtures of octabromodiphenyl ether. This was mainly used as a flame retardant, and currently there's no known production in the developed countries. The other BDE listed under the Stockholm Convention are hexabromodiphenyl ether and heptabromodiphenyl ethers, which are the main components of the commercial mixture of octabromodiphenyl ether, also used as a flame retardant, mainly in the plastic casings of electric and electrical equipment. The production of this compound has also ceased in developed countries. Now, both commercial mixtures are listed under the Rotterdam Convention. What this means is that the movement of these chemicals between parties to the convention is subject to the prior informed consent procedures. Now, there's a number of waste categories, of hazardous waste categories in the Basel Convention to which BDEs articles can be assigned. And that is why the Basel Convention has developed technical guidelines on the environmentally sound management of waste consisting of BDEs to guide parties in their management. The listing of the BDEs under the Stockholm Convention means that their production, use have to be prohibited and trade have to be restricted. The convention also provides for the environmentally sound management of waste, which has to be implemented in cooperation with the Basel Convention. Usually, POPs listed under the Stockholm Convention cannot be recycled. In the case of BDEs, there is an exception, which means that recycling is allowed under certain conditions for parties that have registered with the Secretariat for that exemption. Okay. BDEs were used mainly as flame retardants in a number of sectors. The one that will be most significant for the majority of countries is the use in electronic and electrical equipment. And as you can see, there are a number of other uses, but these will not be important for the majority of countries. However, I take this opportunity to highlight that there are other flame retardants, such as hexabrommocyclododecane, that has been listed that are important for these other sectors. And also that now there's the POPs Review Committee has recommended the listing of another BDE, which is decabromodiphenyl ether, which has been used in these other sectors as well. Okay. One of the first steps in undertaking the management of, d'accord, c'est bon. I'm sorry for that. So because BDEs no longer produced in most countries, the management of BDEs is relates to the larger context of e-waste management. In this case, undertaking an inventory of BDEs can be used to seed a much larger inventory of e-waste or vice versa. Because this is a waste issue, the management of BDEs, of articles containing BDEs, can be done in cooperation with the Basel Convention. And to that effect, a number of tools have been developed to guide parties in the management of e-waste under the Basel Convention, such as the Partnership for Action on Computing Equipment. Okay. So without further ado, I will pass the floor to Arturo Gavilan, who will tell you in more details about how these measures have been implemented at the country level. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. I also would like first to thank all the fellows that are online, and I am going to share the experience, as Melissa said, at a country level from Mexico on dealing with the brominated diphenyl ethers. So thank you everybody for joining this session. The content of the presentation will be touching these 4 issues. One is a little bit general information of BDEs. Other is a little discussion on the questionnaires and how the parties could search for information and the challenges of this, and of course the main part will be the Mexico's experience on getting information for BDEs in order to have decisions on how to deal with them at the country level. Well, first I'm gonna try to move quick through this first part. As all of you know, polybrominated diphenyl ethers are chemicals used for their flame retardancy properties. These chemicals were used from the 70s worldwide, and those because of their chemical properties also had some persistency to the environment, the capacity of bioaccumulate, and it's been proven by science that there are toxicity for humans and biota, these chemicals, and they can also travel long distance, and that was the reason they were listed in the Stockholm Convention. As said already by Melissa, there were listed in the first draw the 2 commercial mixtures of penta and octa PBDEs, and then the deca molecule, which is the one with more uses, will be also included. Here I have a little list of the typical composition of these commercial mixtures. The penta PBDE is mainly composed with the molecules of tetra and penta PBDEs with other components. Also, the octa PBDE includes mainly the hepta and octa molecules, and the deca molecule is mostly the deca compound, but there are some traces or little percentages of other of the molecules. So this is the small list of components of these 3 commercial mixtures. Let me go to the next one. One of the main issues with the PBDEs is that we can find them in several products. Also, it was mentioned one of the most important families of products are included in the electronic equipment and their waste. So is one of the sectors where more work has been done, and several activities have been done internationally to reduce the content of PBDEs in these equipment, and also I would like to mention that there are other sectors of relevance we've seen in our experience. Some of them are related to the polyurethane foams, and some textiles and products that also include many of these chemicals. And I think this is the reason it's been an issue for many of the countries to establish measures to have some management of these materials, mainly because many of these are imported as products and are not added in the countries. And now, a little bit about the questionnaires. The idea of these questionnaires is to help the countries to be able to identify their sources, and be able to quantify or have information for the BDEs situation in the countries. These questionnaires were prepared with consultations with country experts, and one of the ideas is to have some of the recommendations of the countries that have done some work to identify and control some of these BDEs in the different products or uses within the countries, and to deal with the main challenges that this represents. As I was mentioning before, one of the big problems are that these chemicals are included in products that are imported from several countries. When in our experience, we found one single electronic product that comes from more than 10 countries, and all the different components are prepared in another number of different countries. So it's very difficult to track how is the plastic prepared, and which chemicals are used for flame retardancy in them. So a little bit ahead in the presentation, I'm gonna show the different activities that Mexico has done to get more information and be able to make the inventories. Okay, and then with these questionnaires, the idea is to support the convention and the countries to eliminate or control the brominated diphenyl leathers. Here I have some of the main issues we consider that we could speak a little bit. So it's very important to, as it was already mentioned, if the country has a specific exemption or not, to consider that in all the inventories and the establishment of different sources, or in preparing the life cycles of the chemicals within a country. Other important issue is if we have already established control measures or not, particularly in the case of the articles or products. During the last years, that there have been internationally a couple of directives for restricting the use of chemicals in some products. So if the countries have such these regulations, it could be easier to close the difference we can see in products. Another important issue is if we have any studies, analysis, or measurements of the different products we are finding in the countries. One important issue is that some of the higher BDEs, depending on their end-of-life management of them, could be debrominated. So in some of the analysis we've done, we have found that you could analyze from the tetra molecules to the deca ones, and it's been difficult to identify if it's because of debromination or past uses of the penta or octa commercial mixtures. So it's important to have this kind of data to establish if there are some regulatory measures that are required or not. About the disposal, the final disposal of the BDE containing products, it's very important that several studies have been done in landfills of solid wastes, and one of the findings are that in many countries in many countries you take organic material from landfills to feed wastewater treatment plants, and some of these BDEs are being taken from these landfills and taken to the treatment plants, and the BDEs are not destroyed during the process of the wastewater treatment, and some of them have been found in the releases of these treatment plants that in many cases are sent to water bodies. So this kind of information is important to know if there is an issue on that or not at the country level. About recycling, the same issue. Some of the recycling activities of electronic wastes deal with the recovery of some valuable components, but in many cases the plastics that contain BDEs are not of big economic relevance. So in some places these plastics are taken back to the solid waste streams for landfilling or for incinerations, but there is potential release of BDEs from these sources. Again, about the separation of the BDE containing materials, mainly plastics, is a good practice that has been implemented in many countries, but in others is an issue still to regulate. Another issue of relevance is the use of recycled materials that may contain or not BDEs. As I was mentioning before about the plastics, some other uses for the recovered plastics from recycling facilities is that they use them to prepare another products, materials, or pellets for further uses. So we need to track those uses in order to identify if these BDEs are being released in the further reprocessing or not. About the disposal, already mentioned, and the issue of export of articles from recycled materials also includes a gap there about the content of the BDEs. So since this issue has a lot of branches, it's been very difficult for the countries to identify all the potential sources. So one of the from our point of view, one of the main goals of these kind of questionnaires is to help the countries to see all the potential areas of liberation for BDEs, and to make ourselves questions about the importance within the country level, and be able to define if this can be of relevance or not, comparing with other sources of BDEs. Here, some uses of this is to improve the waste management efforts, specifically for end-of-life products that may contain flame retardants. Another important issue is to have opportunity areas for improvement of regulation or industry standards. And one important activity also is to maybe in some recycling activities with the bad bed activities, you could separate and have a sound management of the plastics. So we don't need to have in all cases a full regulatory instrument, but with the use of good practices, you could separate many of the containing materials for flame retardants, and also if you have the capacity to identify all the potential sources, you could identify the potential releases to environment, or the ways to expose of different groups of population. Okay, and here some ideas or potential streams where you could identify information about the situation of the BDEs in the countries. It's important to have a good knowledge of the supply chain. In this, as I mentioned before, it's a very complicated issue because many of the products are taken to the countries already manufactured, and sometimes it's very difficult to track the different chemicals that were used in the production of these products. Even if they come from a single country, there are different ways to prepare these products. In some cases, if there are standards or specifications for the products, most of the cases they refer to the capacity of resistance for the flame retardancy, but not the chemicals that are used to achieve that property. So it's very difficult then to have certainty on which chemical was used or not to provide that flame retardancy property. For this, it's very useful to have some analytical capacities and some testing of some of the products that are expected to have any concentration of BDEs. So with these two source of information, you could also help yourself to identify the different streams and the different content of BDEs in the products, and also to be aware of the different alternatives that are substituting or not the use of a flame retardant. It was also mentioned before, there are several other flame retardants that are considered in the conventions, and there are other families of flame retardants that might have some kind of properties similar to the BDEs. So we need to be aware of them in order to identify the risk of the use of these chemicals within a country. About the experience of Mexico, we've tried to, I'm going to go back a little bit, we've tried to follow this kind of guideline. We've worked to have the best knowledge possible for the country about the international trading and the supply chains. We have also used analytical studies for some products, and we've been trying to make complementary studies with other flame retardants that are used as substitutes of the BDEs, mainly for the pentanocta BDEs, which are the ones that have been prohibited most widely in the world. Above the DICA, there are still some regulatory actions to be taken. So in Mexico's experience, we have been working in this issue from 2006 with the Commission of Environmental Cooperation of North America, in the framework of the NAFTA trade agreement in North America. The US, Canada, and Mexico created a working group on chemicals, which is called the Zone Management of Chemicals Working Group. And in this work of this working group, we created activity on PBDEs, and several studies have been done in order to be able to have this inventory and identify releases and be able to establish some risk reduction. Here we have a list of the different projects we've done since then, but I want just to highlight that we've worked on an inventory, a BDEs inventory that was prepared in 2009, and this included, as I said before, a quantification of products, and also the analysis of all the BDE chemical imported as a chemical in a base year, and to analyze the sectors or the companies that imported the chemical and the different uses they are having for them. And other activity I wanted to highlight is the analysis of PBDEs and the releases from wastewater treatment plants and the releases in solid waste landfills. So these are some of the main projects we have done in order to complete and to improve our inventories. Our first inventory was prepared in 2009, and as I said before, we were focusing on the use of the chemical in the market as its pure form or as in products, complemented with some analysis on a sample of different electronic products mainly. So we also reviewed the reports from the manufacturers or the importing companies, and another important issue we've done is the analysis of the infrastructure in the country to handle the PBD containing products, mainly for the electronic industry and the recyclers of electronic waste. With this, we prepared a first number of the quantity of the BDEs that were included in products and electronic products in the country, and the potential quantities that could be released from disposal sites mainly. So with this, we calculated a first number of 326 tons of the 3 BDE molecules in the country. Then with the study we made in plastics, we worked with Canada and the US to have improved our analytical capacities, and we made a study to quantify the BDEs in plastics. In this study, we worked with the EBS plastic, polypropylene, polystyrene, and HIPS plastics in a set of different electronic equipments coming from different branches, different models, and we tried to make some general analysis and quantification of the presence of the different BDEs. Here, as I said before, we needed to work very hard in the analytical methods in order to avoid contamination of samples and confusion with the different chemicals that might give a similar signal on the chromatographic equipment. So with this, we also tried to identify if there would be even commercial penta and octa BDEs have been phased out internationally, if there are in products that are still imported with quantities of these chemicals or not. And what we found is that mostly the deca molecule was used. Regarding the landfilling, we were very concerned because of the use of biosolids from landfills to feed the wastewater treatment plants for the microbe charge. And in literature, it was documented that some BDEs would be released from this plant, and a lot of work was done in North America and in the Great Lakes, where some BDEs were found from releases of treatment plants. So we took several samples in Mexico and made some calculations of the different PBDEs in the waste that and the potential releases we had from the sources. We also made some studies in small communities where that are very close to landfills, and some analysis were done in children, and some tracking of them was also done. With this, I mean we made this study in a period of 4 years, and we tried to analyze if the PD concentration in some of these communities in children were increasing or decreasing or not. So we made this study also, and we also in 2011 made a study for the use of PBDEs in small and medium enterprises in Mexico. We were concerned of small uses in the furniture industry, textile industry, or some plastics production. In some recycling of the different polyester or plastics materials, there were also small companies that were adding flame retardants to their final product to avoid fires in the storing. And we made this study to identify if there was some relevance or not with small companies. I also mentioned we were making studies on the use of on the concentration of BD oops, sorry. And in the last years, we've been working in life cycle assessment with all this information. So we are using a model, the Umberto software, to model this cycle assessment, and with all the information we prepared from the inventories, we are analyzing the potential impacts of the status quo situation, and how this will change if we are making different policy scenarios. So in the electronic sector, we have a recycling rate of close to 20% of all the materials, and if we enforce the regulation and the different instruments to increase the recycling rates, we were calculating how are the impacts of different scenarios, moving to 40% of recycling, and we are also comparing these numbers with the impacts from the use of virgin raw materials coming from mines and different sources. And with this, we are trying to establish some further activities to increase the recycling mainly. And after all of these different studies that have taken a couple of years from us, we concluded that we have all BDEs issue, we have also releases from disposal sites, and we need to go further on alternatives, but safer alternatives, because many of the new chemicals that are substituting the other flame retardants that were already found to be POPs with a POP property. There is a big list of other flame retardants that are coming to the markets, but that we have little information on the risk to health or the environment they have. And we are also establishing a chemicals registry as an information tool to know the risk of the chemicals before they enter into the market. So with this information, we might be having some kind of protection on new molecules mainly. And I think that's my last slide. I want to thank you all of you and have some minutes for discussion. Thank you.